All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly will I establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly will I establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood.
Lana me bara yanda bara zobe janjo rinpoche do bara chang.
Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind.
ge wa la gu ru tu ye de ren song de ni ma zan da zang jie wa ra de leng a ye song ge wa la gu.
In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings.
Sanje Jodan Zoje Jonam Lai Chanja Parada Dane Jobsen Jen Endage Jen Soi Jenbe Sonam Jen Dola Pencher Sanje Dubai Ho. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Whatever merit I have gathered through prostrations, offerings, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate. Gewa Jungse Dage Jezaba Tamche Zobe Changchub Chenpo.
Unequaled refuge, ornament of the world, your fame pervades the 3,000 worlds. You are the victor, Vajradhara, without a doubt. I bow at the feet of the Father, Jigten Sungum. Continually I think of no one but you. Compassionate one, grant your blessings. Dispel the darkness that surrounds my heart. Please bless me so that I may realize the unelaborated nature of mind. The ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned with Meru, the supreme mountain, the four continents, and the sun and moon. As a Buddha field, I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha fields. Om Guru Deva Dakini Ratna Mandala Praditya So
Om Saje Boje Joje Medo Dong Jera Ling Niande Jambande Sanje Shenla Mede Phowa Yin Doka Nandai Shende Jobai Sho Om Guru Dewa Doi Gene Rena Mandala Pardi So
Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the two vehicles and their combination according to the dispositions and likewise the mental capacities of sentient beings.
Oi Zemje Nomje Zomba Don Loye Jejo Jedawa Anche Joy Demo Tugoye Chuje Kolo Godo So Oi Dangye Doje Jaje Rezo Don Shenje Duje Bonjo Bo Zerjanu Boda Ora Jivek Shache Jarbe Shavla Kujan Se Teme Wazra Toje Jingro De Maje Jengo Je Dawa Tamje Wakujen Chuje Je Yamin De Gung Ren Jen Kujan Se Omi Chuje Yen Je Poran De Tilum Sanje Gunjen Wony Asam Chogo Ngoson Tonze Be Zabe La Me Shavla Kujan Se Kanda Choja Donggen Je Denan Derke Lomra Jorwa Kan Soda Dender Dongbe Choje Jaran Be Ba Zambra Nova Damjin Dere Ye Namar Ya La Ye Ge Dana Dana Ye Chum Da Da Me Ge Nam Ne Roa Gunje Da Ge Je Tamba Tam Je Ge Da Da Ge Jo Den Do. Good evening. In that hanging at so Song Danya Tikita Song Ki Karsekore Danya Kita Jupchar Masone Tene Hui Simbares Tene Tene Tigana Yita Tanging at Sor Tongo Na Yike Tene Eta Chechen Yoga Tozola Nato Yang Song Dansa Seaji Chilo Sachetala Tene Sangwom Seajida, Sangdansati, Yore, that Inayada, Tini Chombina, Yabores, fireplace, or that maybe Naya, Santeda, Dudu Chinet and the San Pobar Giore, Pobarsatonala, Santini, New Lune, Cosandana, de Giores.
So we spoke before about the substances for the smoke offering, and also before, and we said that if we have all the conditions complete, and we have a fireplace, for example, we can perform the smoke offering outside in that fireplace, or we can also perform an abbreviated smoke offering inside in like an incense burner or so.
That Japan, Sang Danya Ti, that Tonda Mambo Jigla, Koya Sari, Tini, that Jetan General, that Sang in a Choba Priatela, and also Sang Dansiki, you, Senator, Choban Busiki, you tela, Drombo, Laguan Drong, Shares, Lagore, then Ponjo see you can dons. Gombo yuan ten kan rong zi da yar kan rong ma zong choba pi si ki yu ke tene da rong ni sla wo da gong chao si yu zi de ji sang ji tang changchub samba lam ne de yang na lama yedam ma o da 상지 창샘 텐딜이야 저와 Phowa 당 대가 나기야 공부 연된 건종 럽도 다가 저지 저 숙마 이些简单点吧텐딜라고 다가 저 변성로 휴비나 근데 공부 다고 근데 아직 초지는 마다고 다 ተሶላሶ 바라 공부 연된 건종 스타트라야 양종이 라고요레스
Mm. And so, in general, there are many meanings to a smoke offering. And generally speaking, it is an offering that we make to a recipient of the offering. And there are 4 kinds of guests. And the first 2 are the guests that we make offerings up to, so higher beings. So the first of these is the guest of the 3 jewels, consisting of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, the gurus, yidams, and so on. And then there's also the guests of enlightened qualities, which are the protectors, those who possess the eyes of wisdom, for example, Mahakala, Achi, Jagidharma, and so on. So these 2 kinds of guests are guests toward whom we make an offering up to.
데네다 만론이라고 다 마텔런 론들라 리적 닝게 컨론 다 한가 존도와 조 렉토 요다 코르반 디기나라 네데와텔라 리적 닝게 론데 코르반 디기나다 가 감솜 시두 송감 수미 동감 송감 수미 솜케나라다 요레 테이케나라다 송감 티케나라 렉토 지디다 라미 라당 라미 메당테네 톤도 예다 녀와라 소베 지도 닝게케 드롱도 치르와 tzola 징게 요레스
And then there are 2 lower guests. And the first of these is our guests of compassion, the 6 sentient beings of the 6 realms of samsara, or in the sentient beings living in the 3 planes of existence, the form realm, formless realm, and the desire realm. And the 6 realms are the sentient beings in the as gods, humans, jealous gods, animals, hungry spirits, and hell beings. So all of these sentient beings are our guests of compassion.
데다 디나네 믹스케야 다 단단가서 다 로와 렉토케 나네 다 추데와데 카즈나다 가서 지 양고케다 라타 로토소 리티나 양 테마인비케다 데웅도와 살루 힙다 스타 살루 힙다 지두지 원네 젤라 네베케 라 테네지 나라 네베케 라 드가나 이케지 출라 네베케다 로센레 라 힝라 네베 라라 소베다 드리지게 코나지 엔티티 드리지 망보지 요사리도와 테네 드가나 이케다 항해만 구름부치 얘기했더니 마포라 세나다 배웅백갑라 테네 태중도와 때마중이 서야로 야마중이 서야로 다 텐데다 대가나 이게 다르 텐데래양 공원에 something interesting 더러와 가르세나지 파다도 고 르트조베 렌톰보트조라티스 고 누파 요사로와 고 코랑라양 지 베나 코리케타 힙다라고요나 타솔라양 고 코랑 고 르체키체로 호라 고 컨트롤치야 로지 텐디 요사데 텐디 대가나 얘기야 르트솔란도 소모탄비나 랭가 헬라양 고지 카르세고리 karbo gebele la gadenge tindi ke yang la le scenario retaso yowa retaso la yang chi pen sondo shuina chi 라만다고 다 간다 레카 차야 카리나 레카들이야 로파치야로 hindi 용대비 결전다고 야 renga hele chi karse gore di stuck ko the opposite ro chi negative ko khadu ina chi mondo wondo yana de yana chi lama ta tene chi thawala soboda tene dobe kabla yang ko dis nobata ya ro da ti kison ro da tene da menda yosar wa oda tsola da tapzo chi chia de da na sa de so ke peng yosar do wa kona so 대인들이 이제 라 레야트 솔리나다 이제 간진공소 여보용 위치에도 레트솔레야 상당야 대가나 얘기다 레코지 누보트소 인비나야 이제 상당도 거랑소야 바히환 잠로야 오다 텐디 너오지 게다 텐디 이후 텐디 요다 텐디 음
And then within the six realms of samsara, as various other beings, there's spirits, gods, nagas, local owners like spirits, and there's those spirits or like entities who live in the mountains or forests or in the water or in trees. And for example, when Guru Rinpoche came to Tibet, he tamed those 12 Dema goddesses, and there's also Yangma goddesses, and so there's different kinds of beings. For example, in living in the mountains, so when we look into at a mountain, sometimes a high mountain, it has a certain power, an energy that comes from the mountain. And often in the mountain, a certain mountain is controlled by like local spirits who control those below them. And there's some mountains that are controlled by those kinds of spirits who offer support to lamas, for example, in virtuous activities. And then there is other mountains where the entities, they are the opposite. They were more negative and they harm those who go there. When, for example, a lama or a monk or a person goes there and they harm their activities there. And so for all that, the smoke offering is very beneficial. When we make a smoke offering to those gods in the positive gods, that then we can also encourage them to offer support. And then if we make a smoke offering to those negative gods, then it could pacify the harm that they cause.
오다 텐디 요레다 텐디 드가 나기게다 나데 노조발라 텐디 텐데 요사레다 가서 벤 아르존나 투상 저 텐디 레톰보 텐디 요레 텐디 제고네 레트조라 코랑 케지 땅센로지 대양로지 당가서 지 게베초 치야 지 스페셜 안가서 지위가블라 양 코랑소 지베 티 냠도 로코로지 차르완다고 자안다고 소 코랑페 지 두직파 직발라지 텐디체야 용구도와 대가나 이게야 그 유텔 네데베게다 지 플라탄 루게다 지 고촌지데 가르촌고스나 지 르다르와르다트졸라베 가나용야 텐디 용구요레다 르다 베나 샤와라 소바 대가나 이게다 톰라 소바 텐디 용구로와 당내만 단당가도 정모 이긴으로 테네 다 투상라 페버데 투상라 페드테네 Madeira canyons yorda tenia chamcham rosaroya picnic rosaroji yore tigan rodine da tinde tilanga galangone china duwa mombo chamcham mombo ro yore moda mombo yore yina ya nga to da tinde ji lamga gala te ko thomji ko chaja ro tinde ji na ko de do nga to ya jamgon mo ji pedu oda ti so ro da ko ji tiga na yi tine nga to ya picnic ro we kabla konso 단다 대요다 출기도 자출기배 등리배 마모트니 저 용치 되네 꼬라자지 되네 등리 용양도 지다 그 캔서 등리 용구도 되네 대가나 이 녀마 정원은 뭐지 단다 플로리다다 비치 대 애니멀 sanction stati ko ji simjen zo charek sosa ro da tini ji tik bichil pebe te pebe kabla tini 다 나로다 차도다 다 가서 때 다야 열고 때 케진도 오죠 드는 칼라 때 열와 이내야 때 많이 비게다 가서 비치는 로 가블라 차 코랑다 와일드라이프 텐데라 베다 참마 루치는 좀네 베데 기 잠네 코라 잠네 콘소지 지기도 왔고 지 내내 세나리 간다지 가능로 오지 오다 되게 그 틴디게 거다지 갈세거래 직ten로 직 당가서 무게 남조직 된 거래 뭐야 직 라만도 패브네 텔리 리스펙트로 직도 되니 지거티 태자 마지 베케야 직고 텔레템 베케다 로고 데티라 부여너리 텔레템 베케다 심chen 차다 저다다 고도 디스 고지 나와 만다 왔더니 용구도 어텐디 텐디 용구요레스
Kuson la kare dom koksong tani shemba kare lepson. Kuson la.
톰지 되네 라가 차자자고로 차자로 자기요레스 랑
dom ke sagyarwe. Dom konki.
그 차자로 되네 랑데고 람가티마다 되네 되네 콘소테 차 투르키도 와 투르키베 쳔보 와야 투르키 하사 쳔보도 거라자로 용도서 남주인의 시랑 통하여 말로 남주인가 되네 용도스
And an example from a Western place, for example, in Arizona, in Tucson, there are some higher mountains, and sometimes when we engage in a certain practice, and then some signs may appear. So, for example, like a rain falling or rainbows appearing and so on at the same time when we're practicing something. Or sometimes also various animals like deer, some kind of wild animals, they also sometimes appear as like kind of in the form of a local entity or a spirit. Also a bear, for example. For example, one time when His Holiness Chichen Rinpoche visited Tucson, there's these canyons. What is it? Madera Canyon, sorry, Madera Canyons. And so we were going around there, and of course there's a lot going on there. There are many visitors and there are many cars going there. But nevertheless, when we went there with His Holiness, there was this bear who kind of seemed to be waiting, and also he had his claws kind of folded in prayer. And then there were also a lot of wild turkeys kind of.
Yeah, they stand indoors like that. Oh. Yeah, so first I thought this is not really. Sometimes they make like tech bears, right? So something make people just make scary. I thought maybe that probably impossible real bear, but then we just stopped the car in front, and it's just bear. He moved, he laughed. So.
And then there were a lot of wild turkeys also gathering around, which is also quite of a strange thing. And then also one time when Holiness came to Florida, we went on the beach. And so there's a certain beach where we have different kinds of birds. And of course, sometimes when you go to watch animals and you can watch the birds in a cage, but these were actually wild birds on the beach.
Animal sanctuary. Animal
sanctuary. Oh, it was an animal sanctuary. And so anyways, there, these wild birds on that beach, they all gathered around as though they would like it says, kind of like a welcoming gesture to His Holiness. Anyway, sometimes it happens that when a lama comes, for example, or somebody practicing a virtue, that even animals appear as, or let's say those local spirits or entities appear as those animals.
Tene nga de dana di sana la yorwa shanton ne besti da jata nga zo ke ji logo deity zo ngosia thong thog marwa ina ya ta nga zo ke thoya la tene 지 샤완라오 다단다 톰로 통고요사라와 인다테 ngone직 다 고랑소 그지 로고디디 쪼원로지 차데기요사라와 다 ngazo 근두라다 지 샤완라오 투르킨다오 다 지 비안로 통고로와 이나다티 로고디디 랍고도와
And so, for example, when we see those local deities, it's nothing we can actually directly see. But what we can see is the deer and the bear and the turkey and so on, and they actually are forms of these local deities that then appear to us, so we can see them.
오다 텐디 다티 다제단다 티기 손로 다 망보 요인바데 텐디 당가서 선 푸세키 유 세난 롬보 세나데 게스 세나리 대차디요레스 네 다제데 기렉 렌차 컨동 소나 다 렌차 컨동 라베 다제가 저디 지 제와 오메케 지 렌차 게다 코랑야 렌차 테니네 랭냠바 테니 사네다 데노다 테니 지 카세고레 당가 좀 말하려고도 누구도 테니 제와 렌데와 티나네야 지 레 당냠바세고와 테니 사비키 젠지네 테니 텔레 사장가 헬라다 테니 고탑트 고 토데와 테니 요사로 베 렌차 테니 코르지다 등장 용구도와 데 아리나라 테니 용구도 테니 제다 킬로라 용구요레다 가히 지 그나 뭐 사장가 헬라 테니 모타 액시덴트 차야 사제 찌라 째강라 코라베 테 계시 디 사자 디강라 계시 액시덴트 차비나 고메트 베 자자 신로야 오다 디 소노 냐마 폴라 마모 총브레 이다 단다양 고 사장가 히다 저랑서 베제 흰거지레 지 사장가 히트는 용구도와 어테니다 텔레지 고 가선 당보 고 액시덴트 차위 기디 메타지 나다 디게 가르세는 제 고랑 현나타 징나다 칸양만 던지 착바다 현바다 컨디요나 디고 렌차직 틀 셈지 양만 메들라 고랑다 지 텐디도지 텔레 차지 네데완도 오다 텐디도 지지드네 지 코기 주케다 지 렌차티 젠치네 드네 심지 현발라양 고직들 고직반다고 지드네 용도야 오다 드네 용고요 살아와 텐디도라 텐디 나주다 롬보도 지 텐디래양 상땅미나다 고 상티케 쳔네야 고제 고랑소게 지 렌차도 장도야 다 훌롱지 다 훌롱스는 데려와 데드 오토 참마다 고 페이백도 치토야 오다 드롱 히게게 테레스
And so these are recipients of a smoke offering and one kind of guest. And then the fourth kind of guest is the guests which are the karmic creditors. So there are those karmic creditors with whom we have a karmic link from previous lives, and also they themselves have engaged in some negative action, and then they take birth as some kind of demon, like a Mara. And so then as a result of having accumulated negative karma, then they disturb certain places. For example, there might be some places like that in America too that you are familiar with. For example, there might be a certain place where a lot of car accidents happen. So there's this one place where these accidents happen, and then if that accident, even if no accident happens, if something happens there, then one dies there, and so on. And so there are certain places like that, and so these might be places that are inhabited by these karmic creditors who are there to collect their karmic debt, and also might be those who are very attached to a certain place, and then when somebody else comes there, then they cause a lot of harm to those people there. And so when we offer a smoke offering to them, then it may also satisfy them, and in this way the karmic debt is being paid back or purified.
어다 된나 이단다 accident 용구요래 라비요래 대가나 이다 되니 사자 아니 마마마보 증바라고 뭐뭐 해송메 사자 되니라다 되니 용구도와 거기 서로 만다와 당직 디스현한다고 당직 지 존나 요래 소다 도선라고 있나 가서 상당미나 되네 거나서 팽규여사레스
So there are certain places where the accidents happen, or a place where there was a war before and people have died. There's just certain places maybe where we have a different kind of feeling, a bit of a scary feeling, where we feel uncomfortable. And so if we make a smoke offering, then it may also benefit those beings there.
진짜 제당가서 상라고도 상세나 상바래다 상바지도 지파 장마소원도 근데 어다 도솔라더니 지 상동메이나 되네 지 펜토요와 근데리스 다 대양가서 단기 공투와 나이래다 상당도 다 단기 substance 저도 좀나 야보리 되게 개체모리 이나야다 조체효데 지금 아주 상당히 갑라고 띵인지 고미야 로 세마용 바치야 개체모데스
The term sang or smoke offering sang literally means to purify, to cleanse. And so, as you mentioned before, if you are able to gather all the substances, then that's excellent. But what's most important during the sang, the smoke offering, is to meditate in a state of samadhi and to be without distraction.
그가나 얘기다 야 지금 띵인지 드네 요비나 드네 지금 오포케 가서 오포베 자체모 드네 부야 정부야다 드네 메비나야 지금 오포티기 이지게 뚜네 드네 띵인지당 드네 라기 냠도 와요나 드네 베메시비케 덥침부 드네 요비여사레스 안다 디요베 루주 지예야 요래다 냐마 드네 베제다 보게 gombaje kitine koransoda ji lalishibda solada choba sangdanyari choba pe tormatanyari jachemo chigores tene tormatangse keta ya no to soya de serke no no sangla sobata Rinpoche le chobi kitine no tene puya tenya tangi kontyuwa na yere tene je ngone ji Rinpoche krai tene tegana yi men krai 다도 참아 지금 부송 소바텐데 야 푸고요레스 한다 대표음베가라 다 되네 공소사도 다 공소사들라 당보 제당 사대야 저 상당히 근데 요래 상그나는 되네 맞아 당보 젠데 정도 젠데 스타 로모도 저기 효라 되네 디휴라 맞아다 효수조르다 효 되는 것도 다 지금 저부거와 더 나가서 누가라고 있나다 누가 게스라고 있나 당고 인와르 치기로와 인와르 치 되네 야 나나 폐 효라 되네 칼라테기로 다 대소는 참마 치고거래 대지도 되네 단달라마티기다 고베 익스텐시브 테크닉 오픈 치고거와 된 당보되네 공부 젠장도 다 용고고래 젠장도 다 양고다 가서 당보고 점로 동요와 공조선 근느바 점로 동 점로 심지 동네 젠장도 공부 용고고다 되네 살리게다도 참마 연구요레스 대용의 그런 초바 부두다 그러나서 초바대 효지 가나요 말이다 이는 라마코랑 똑같은 모여서와 걔네들이 공부다 단 초바 자체 뭐 효지 푸기도 람테네 살리게다도 다 문도요스 조파다 물라레베 기티네 초바 자체 뭐지 푸기도 람테네 공부 도요서와 되네 라마코랑 삼나 근데 고한다 상에서라와다 다디 가리나디 나고니 진탁고니 really extensive 라와다 틴디 keeping choba sering sanja pe konchembo chembo 틴디 고다 tinchi koran according to the tax yana tinchi chatam 좀되면 딘리징에 푸요레다 딜레 하사나 메신바제 기지 라마 신바제 기지 푸요서라와 삼테네 Lama Korang Tini Gongyo Sarwa, Tini Kong Yata Lamati Karichigdo, Dagosare Sante, Lamateko, on Roson Res, Tini Roson de Tini, Ta Korang Malaria Patron Yosarwa. Tini Malaria Pade Karichigyo, Lamte, Chun Ramjela, Diores, Chun Ramjela, Di. Tini Kotina, Tini Ta Ketanda, Hof, Roa, Nirano, or that Tiniji, that Nyingba, Kambo, or Tiniji, to Sem. Tene tina la tene ko chema ti slow chuti slow yoresta ta ko ni china ngo fotela expense khan yo marwa ko expense ya yo mare special ya yo mare yina ya ta chi ngo ni khong ke tene tingin zi ke tene chi tu ne tingin zi ke ne ti gang la ya choba ji phu be ka la tene ta koran ji kha ina re lo ina re ta koran ji tangi khong shuba na ji dong she ko yo se yun dong go bo yon ten dong ri ro ni yen dong ge re len ja kan dong to chama peneta 샘네와 gangu yirane wada tene yong to gu yore tene ta nga so zo tangi so dong de ro ina tene sem ge nambara ta be gon omani be me ho dong heji choga to hinge me be na tene dong na tene pan to gre yo tene changchub samba dang tene 아직 띵인지 고 tene 띵지 la ji ne thom tene yimi na tene heji ge yang go jala be ta ji ho tene me be na ta ji bo shong de ge tunjan 좀난 되기래 이나양 tunjan 좀 그메나 테니치난 되기래스 tunjan 히라다 고지 오고 심볼 왜 테니치난 되기래스
Repa karen Magatok, Karen Ningbatok,
아
Repa La Pana La Karezungatok,
몰라 레파 코로나 게다 저바 부야 게 잘라지 요러와
Lati Kare.
잘라데 카리요스나 데 따케 홉 라그와
Oof, oh,
어디 강베 고월 라초지도와 오 닝고
mhm,
요 따데 고 따한다고 해송 유지로 신의 고 라그로 추운담라 다 데고 또는 말룩산다고 저바 부산으로 데려와 드네 디나라 드네 제마디스 로고요레스 드네 쳐디 요레스 다 가서로 있나 다 단기 라마 셴바티기 베 hoop die tsaulata pede jik serk plando nguk torma luxando ta tene lugu yusarwa tene ti chalata zona da manda se da ngu da ta Rinpoche lugu ha ta ko
Und so when one possesses samadhi, then even, of course, first of all, if you have all the substances complete, that's excellent. But if you have samadhi, and even if you do not have all of the offering substances, one can also mentally generate the offerings and through samadhi and also experience and realization. And then this offering becomes very powerful. There's an old story from the time of Milarepa in Tibet. And so there was this Lama who made very extensive offerings to the gods and the nagas, the spirits, the local owners. And he arranged his offerings like dormas and so on in very expensive vessels, like made out of gold and silver and copper and different precious substances. And then the offering substances he was offering were jewels and different medicines, just the perfect offerings. And so when normally when we invite the deity according to the smoke offering, for instance, first we recite this invitation. So we invite the deity, and then when the deity or when the gods then come, then we ask them to be seated, and then we make offerings to them. It's just like when we invite a guest to our home. First we invite them, and then we ask them to come in, and we sit them down, and we feed them and make offerings to them. So this Lama made extremely extensive and expensive offerings, and made this invitation to those gods and spirits. And also those spirits, they need to come, because in the beginning we are reciting refuge prayer into the three jewels. So through the power of the three jewels, if we make an invitation, then all of these beings have to come. And so anyways, this Lama made these really extensive offerings, and so then these spirits came, but then They didn't stay for very long. They had to go because they heard about this other high lama making offerings. So they quickly came and then they left again. And this other high lama was Milarepa making offerings. And so then this lama who made these extensive offerings, he wondered, everything was made perfectly, all these expensive offerings, it is very precious substances, everything was totally authentic according to the text, but still the guests didn't stay much, they just left somewhere else. So he wondered, there must be someone making an even greater offering, but how is this possible? This offering already is so extensive. I need to see what is happening. So then he went there, and then he saw Milarepa sitting there on the bank of a river, and all he had in his hand was an old horse hoof, and he used that as a support for his Dharma offering, and he poured some sand in there and poured some water in there, and that's all he had really. He didn't have anything special, he didn't have anything expensive, but he just sat there with his hoof and in a state of samadhi and made offerings. And this is where all the gods and the spirits went to, and all the 4 kinds of guests we just mentioned before, the 3 jewels, and then the Dharma protectors and the sentient beings of the 6 realms and the karmic predators. And all of them could be satisfied by just this offering. And so this shows the power of samadhi. So if you have that, even if you have nothing else, if you have a pure mind, you can just recite the Mani mantra, for example. Of course, if you have all the substances together, then that's very beneficial. But even if not, even if you just have a state of samadhi, and so as a like a bodhisattva with a state of samadhi, then even if you don't have any of those various substances together, it is still okay. You can also practice it in the simple way.
오다 딘디다디 아다 가상 당세케 카르세고다 유티 바레 딘디다 상당세케 지다 제탕가서 상데 고니마다 파당디나 야 디기요레 대가나지 양고 지다 가서 스페셜 용기도와 스페셜라 카르세야 요라위나 지 세바 다지 세페 가토냐 통세지 소나데 지냐 세레 대가나 얘기 세바 주당 주릉아당 닉장아당 다냐세는 남강으로 올라 소비기강라 티네 상당 거야노 다는 되기요리 대가나 얘기야 상당랍도 가서 믹스에게다 등장 다 휴직 가서 트래블링 때 직다 휴직 저기요 말와 다 녀만으로 인비나 되네 지금 누반로야다 개체 뭐 휴를 다대 인제탄다 등장 지진의 개체 뭐 인식으로와 야부잖아 액시덴트 차가 이런 거 말와 이나야다 단다 당연만으로 이나 누가 더 존조베 갑라다 지케당 다당 망부 휴직 잘라서 키는 로고 거래 진이다 람로 맞아 위나 지다한다고다 되네 야한다고라서 시야 총 10이나 백갈린 되고로다 된다고 나자자야 라서 보다 계속 마용 위치도 되네 가서 지 당본두한 드로베 갑라테네 야 상당고요레스 다 되니까 대가 나이다 냐마 해코지 와다 제 카드 내가 전부 칸데지나요 상당야로다 대가 나이게야 지다 칸다리야 지 뭐상티게 나네 지 지고 남야 지 칸반로 자야 이나레 야 지다 같이 레카 개침보 칸데 더서 지야라테네 지 상당 추치야데 티치기요레스
And so these are the objects toward whom we make the sang smoke offering, and we can perform the smoke offering every day, or we can also perform it on special days, for example on a full moon or the new moon day, or which is the 15th and the 30th, or on the 8th, or on the 10th, or on the 25th day, and so on. So on special days, and also for example, when we are about to set out to travel, and maybe nowadays this is not considered to be something that's significant, but in the old days, maybe it was a very significant activity, and so we would perform a smoke offering so that no accidents happen. And in the past you would have your animals, horses and cattle who carry your things, and then if things go wrong on the path, on the road, for example, some animal dies or gets sick or something like that, then you're in real big trouble. So we would perform a smoke offering so that this would not happen. So before you go, you would make such a smoke offering. Or whenever you do anything else that is really critical for a really important activity, for example, if you're building a new house or you're doing something that's really important, and then you could do a smoke offering, which is like a cleansing ceremony.
오다 대가나 이게 다 징징텐디 이게 되는 양지 창사자라고 다 단다 트리치다 가서 창사자는 것이 다 가서 다 나와서야 막바서야 요레스 진리다 나말랍나 되네 지 제메지 다 표질은 창사자는 상심받은 로고로와 텐딩 조베 감로다 되네 야 막발랍나 되네 표직이야 되네 무슨 심바지 그나라다 용국으로 틴딩용양으로다 그가나이다 코란이야 쳔서버소네 단단하기야 창사지암의 코란지 쳔서버소야라서보다 더솔이 디가라다 고지 상방야데 고네 미네 메타 메와도지 차디오레스
Another time when we would make a smoke offering, when it's really important, is, for example, when somebody is getting married. So when a couple is getting married, the bride it goes to a new family and the groom goes to a new family, and together they're starting a new family together. And so during that time also actually a song smoke offering is really necessary.
야 대가나 이게다 가서 라마직 조 사자들 곰발레 펴고요나 상당야다 야 라마직 다 곰바티기 라마 사자 심바지를 펴므로고요나 야 상당야라서 봐다 강다야 직다 상들라 고직 단계 공투기와나 이리 이제 맞다 지금 좀본 넘버 힐라서 비기야 초바 푸고요래 대가나 이게 직 단다 직 화치시야 근데 직 장마소야 상야로와 직전당 버치 또 장마야 상야 대가나 이게 지 근데게 지 루다 나다 이게 그 샘지야 장마로 상야 그데 지 상티게 되네 상와로 지 장마 장장로 지 클렌징도 지 근데 디차비요 사레스.
For example, when a lama is traveling to a different monastery, he can perform a smoke offering, or when he goes to a completely different place, he can do a smoke offering there. And whenever we make a smoke offering, then we make this offering to those 4 guests. And through the smoke offering, we dispel obstacles, we cleanse negative conditions, we cleanse our own body, speech, and mind. So it is a cleansing ritual.
대가나 이게 다 직 단단가서 대책이요래 이 강반다고 있나요? 강바서원다고 양면은 강바지기나 게스다고 되는 레비오나 다 of course 가서 cleaning 다 지겨와 이네 티나네 가서 직다 상도야 세야다 개침부지고다 직 상도야 되기다 직 장방원의 뒤소송으로 선거리 다 제기는 거니 대가랑 개선노다나 대 배제 장마소 투구래 선도 제당가서 장마 선견들라 다 되네 사추 송로다 말이데 ramyam kamlagdo me long chu 다 som게 다 장마 소고다 다 딩가서 단단 초바지디 ramyam kam세야 다 가두이는 것도 초발레디 다 ramyam kam지 제가 레초노 카리나 섬그러와 이런 거네 리얼리티 다 티소고 인다 단단 것도 these days 가선다 지 추도 되기로 추도 맞어 오게 지 롱게 배주시라 지 말에 make veju hira chigi yomarwa yene da chi benanga so ta ngaranda wasamo dambina veju ma chule veju ma tala tene long chigi yore tene make chigi yore ta de khar chigi olamna ta ngaso ngamanda wina ta bena teride ngaso tulo khonya ta tanda wina chigta kharsare factory so xiajo keta jala jahan rawa tin blanket inare khandi inatene manufacture so xiajo re ta nyama ro ndi yo marwa tin ko rangi khan yo wari ta much is used the khachi go lamna the lok pahwa tin chi yo ro lok pahwa thiang ko with the wall ina tazota jik blanket chembo tin ya ina re khonya ina tazola tene jik chutu yo mare chutu na tholando gro wa tin tin jik ताते खर्चेगरी लाविना तिने ता मुजरवा दुबाजरवा जेले आविना तिने थांबो लोंगना दाबदा तांगरवा लोंगना बे दाबदा तां ए लोंग खचे लोंग लोंग तिने माजोदे लोंग योसा तिने हैंगचिगरवा या हैंगचिने तिने लोंग खचे तिने दाबदा तांगरे ति तिह्योलिया नाखि योंजि तिने ताते मे हुदु यागरवा हुपा बे थोस्मो कि थामा चिगरे ता तिने चिना ता जामा 차자래 티엔디다 티니치리레스 티엔디다 제 지난 거네 고자마 차안도 요사래 sam도 nga랑 sam도다마
Well, for example, if you have a new house or a guest is coming to stay with you. For example, when a guest is coming to stay with you, then of course you're cleaning the place. And actually, the most important way of cleaning the place is really the smoke offering. And it's really the smoke offering that cleans the place, actually, in my opinion. So when we do rituals, then they often include Ram Yam Kam, which is fire, wind, and water. And with Ram Yam and Kam, we cleanse. And so also we cleanse offerings with Ram Yam Kam. And so you might just think, oh, this is just some ritual. But actually, this is really what actually cleanses. And so nowadays we mainly use the water to cleanse, and we don't make so much use of wind and fire. But actually, so I personally feel that more so than water, does the wind cleanse, and more so than wind does the fire cleanse. So, and things are also different now than in the old days. For example, when you had someone come stay with you and you gave them a blanket to wear, for example, like nowadays, like you would have a blanket that's made in a factory. So it's a manufactured thing. Most things are manufactured like that nowadays. But on the old days, everything was completely natural. For example, the blanket that you would offer someone would be a sheep's skin. And so then obviously you cannot clean the sheepskin with water, because that would destroy the skin. So you would not cleanse like that in the old days, not so much with water actually. So when somebody new would come, first of all, you would blow some wind, which is like you hang it up, and when you hang something, the wind kind of blows through. So you kind of like let the wind move through it. And so that's the wind. And then you would make a lot of smoke with smoke offering substance like juniper. And then already the place is completely clean like that. So, and maybe in my opinion, this is how it really becomes clean.
어다 티인도 다 상세야 티게 테리 다 대가 나이게 다 단다 가서디 rinchen punzo ke tene peche nang le yowa da sang tene tang me na ji nga zo hande musom chok na sang wen thap zong do la tang ma tang je de zo chok ro gu yo na tene sang ro gu re tong le da je tang de la tang ma tang zo chok gu yo re tene ko la ke bena mu ke te sung do nga zo ta ji mu ke benata men damda kangjung mangjung ji ta tingchang do na plastic do da ta kang ta ji damda me ta wi na tin la to sol no do didn't talk to you. Tegana Yeke Yang, Jikta, Yula Shadat Zo in the Tanga to Shenji son the Tine, also Kono Saviorda, told to Tegana Yitanga to combat Jap digging ground. Tinichidu, Koson told to Yorwa, or that Tinichi go Satan, Madame Kosamatachi conflict, Chandowa. Tini Chando Vikala, Tegana Yita, Gashi Sanga Hila, go one age, Nedesa. Ko Luke Koranki Portando, or Tenen the Yamana, ko Salihita Koran needs a Solangazokata, Koji go to Lodi, Tene Consola Nobatangore, Consul Nobatando, Consul Condo Saviorwa, Condosan, Togo, Tenen Tosona, Tenengato Santana, Handi Messom, Tona Sameta, Slaviwa, Tene Sound of this. Tene Menor Saxon, Sameta Star. Tegana Yitanga to Chiang, Lula son tour, Tanga Tongone, China, da Yamano in a Pugitella, a Saya Geta Category. The environment, Hutziorwa, one Sakanjung Goya Mewata. The Chutel Messigoda, Chutel Sopa Socho Maris, and Chunana, Natota. Sopa say under Wojik, left over and over the Kaya and Takora Chutina Lugiomada. In a yata, things on the winner that tune on a Kanjomonju Lugiorwa, the Zoho Tegore, Tegana Jamzona Kanjomonju Lugiorwa. That Telo Bicala, that Tila, Tangi Contua Yiri, Chunan Dengezo, Tondo Gore. Chunan Dengeto to Telayanko related Yorwa, Benatangi Shawanda winner, and as a Shawatela, Kota, Shawayan Re, Ko Tenanki, you take it for Yulate Chadi Yorwa. Tena Getine, that Ganga to Jet of Zotopaso, Tenisovina, Hoshavanova, Shavanona, locally you can hattle, no Yorwa, what a Tindike, Momboji, Todo, what a toast on the young, Tindinga to Getachi, Zopatenis, Hosuna, Tene Sangre, Santana, Tene Sando Grace.
And so in the smoke offering text by Rinpoche, it says, for example, when there's conflict between gods and demons and humans, then this cleanses it. This cleanses all conflict. And so, for example, conflict does happen between gods or like spirits and humans, for example. So, for example, when nowadays, when human beings burn something, make a fire, for example, nowadays there's a lot of plastic burning, which pollutes the environment. And so when we burn plastic, for example, that harms the gods, and so when we harm the gods, then it disturbs them, it makes them angry. Or for example, there are certain places where there's local spirits living in trees, for example, and when we cut those trees, then it harms them, so it makes them angry. Or if we build a house and then we dig in the ground, that also may disturb certain entities. And then there is conflict between the gods and the humans, or the spirits and the humans. And there are some places, for example, where the Nagas dwell, where they have their Naga palaces, and then if we come there and we dig around there and we disturb that place, that harms them, and then they get angry, and then there is a conflict. And so the smoke offering is a method to cleanse, to clear away this conflict between the gods, humans, and spirits or demons. And then, for example, there is, it says in the smoke offering text, when there is and there's conflict between, also when there is, like when there's conflict between like humans and the cattle, and so forth, and the animals, then again, the smoke offering cleanses that. So, for example, also one way we disturb the Nagas, for example, is when we pollute the waters. Before, in Tibet, the environment was the clean environment was considered to be very important, and you could not just pollute the rivers and the waters, just like put in your leftovers and so on. But nowadays we throw everything into the water, into the rivers and into the oceans, and that pollutes them, and then that disturbs the beings like the Nagas dwelling in those waters. Or if we pollute the mountains and the forests and so on, there are, for example, where deer, where the gods abide as deer, then it disturbs them, and there is conflict. And so the smoke offering cleanses all of such pollution or conflict that it has been caused.
Otate la sobita jatantini vechina yoro ngudo farchinde na sameta siang samsanga sota je ngudo tinde la yang ngudo tinde yungu yore yene yang ngudo thoma to wa ke farchin ju ya la sobata diga na yi yang nga zo ngone ji ta them la sobe ke tinde ga la yang je nga zo demba yowi na yang ko ti ji them te ya bo ma cha ya ke ji ko demba zumba ina tha ma chu ya tinde ki ni chu chumbe ka la yang sa da na phan tho ya da Teenage da yang jitendi kinala koji sambo ina da sambo se mewa dingbo se mewa kora dubo se mewa pe da saman de jo tenido ina yang sada na ko sambo inba sambo hakowa nyemba ina nyemba hakowa la so be kitine phan thowa tega na yi ke da yang nga soji da chu chibi ne kabla yang ji chowa challenge so ya ma data according to the yang tax law da jing choba puya so ya wo chongmi bi na yang sang da ma yang sang ro ya ta wo da tindi ke ji mambo ji yo de tiga na yi ke yang jin tham sang ga so ji malam ro tindi ji ngem ba mi song bi na tindi ya malam thela azang da na sang ro ya ta tene yang jie le da pa zo chuban ro tene jie le kongzi chin ne cha do tang kongzi tene yu wi ne yang ko san dang na yang cha ro ya dang tiga na yi ke da nga zo zo ka za na chun chu dang nam to chung na sang me da so chun chu ji da nam to zo nga zo rang ka na le da te ke chen bo le da ji da chi yu de tan da de yori chi yu de hu na yi de nga zo da la tang le tang xie da dang so yori de zo ka se na da nam to de yin ba de ju chen zo de number to ba de nam to de de ne ge da nam to de ka se na ji ngo ne nga chi bu men do ro sam na ina chi bu men do sam na zo te ka se na chi bu yu mi se ya di da nam to de so ba de ten du ta pe na ji chi bu men do se ya de ko ka se na ji ra pan yo yu de sa yu cha 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 nom de na sem ki de na ta nga chi bu men do sam de chi yo ma wa o ta di nam to de de samre ta nga so ji nam to ti jian chi ne ta ka se na ji 다 상보이나 그 상보 남도 오케이 야보리 다 년배 남도 오케이 되네 지 다 중요한 참 샘도 중요하래 텐데 샘 계지 넘버 또 텔레 때네 데 참참들이 다 지금 알아요 지 노바요사리 잠반다오다 양 참참 가서 되네 다 마음베게 양 지금 샘팅다오다 양 또 참마 마체지데 샘 남도 소고와 남도 초고거래 대인도 다디 하고 그래 다 샘게 남도디 다 지 남도 왕도만 로와데 개침보래 대인도 다 좋은 거저디 남도디 Tela, Kar Donlan Chingan Tela, Cargo Gorsana, Kaduina Yang, Tenechi, Semke Tenge, Trobaji Gogoda, Semke Teng the Trobaji, Chi Yula Toma Gowaji, Kisi Chi Yula Togona Yungmata, Mambaji Charnogre, Sambando Yang, Teneji Yamana, Mokora Kangala, Gagamendo, Sambando. Tindi Kinawaji Yorwa, Tindu, Kotoa Yungumare, To Yumara Chibala, Tatanita Yeji Tio, Tina Jiling Sari. Tindu Kaduina, no matter, Kandijina Yang, Sam Kotoa the Lagayomada, Sam Kotoa Malaya get Tabi Kariore, Slavina, 1 degree, some big logi or da. Karichona degree is a much. Karsak individual Koranketa, Karsak Terida, strength, Roa, Nupaji Bogota, Nupaji. Nupati Kari new person, 1 degree, not Karichona Chung, somebody. Roa, Karichuna Yang, go Jigbaji Gogoda. When accept like doa, sometimes accept the misunderstanding check doa. Misunderstanding karchigorsen accept chidi ota nga loser no accept chita nga palm from te marwa, tene mare. Accept se the huge doa. Kesi accept chita no chara pawo cha bare khasan jilla huge ora pawo la dor se. Ota tindu je khandi china nga degree sambaji gawan ro ji. 다 reaching 보다 상상 circumstance different situation la dene 사는 가서 야보 요반도 속에 사람 누구 요반도 속에 이내야 deep sense 라단 되고가 저 두번도 오지도 치 니츠라 나 두번도 삼고 요나야 나한테라 떠와라야 요 말에 오 되게 야보래 삼번도 오지 너와 되고요 다디 Kissing be Nagiona Yang, Kosupo Madevati, Siori Tina, Hotelia, Trovaji Gogota, or none and Rigido, somebody. Tayona Nasat Chung Lugua. That young man had been a loser, that thing, Chingo Forva, or Peshano, last one. Repesha Lavare. Yena Tadunto like Ayomada. Oh, degree somebody, Tangas Tikalanga Chunya Chioro, or Tangangora Carmine. 야보레 야만은 인지지노 다 니베샤티 히말라 팬토나 베 야보레 삼바도지 딘디게 트로바디 다 용이야 또도 남토다 라와 딘디 다디 딘디게 남토드니 뭐뭐 초루요나 들라도 텐초구요나 야 고상다나 팽게레스
And in the smoke offering text, it also mentions that when there are obstacles through cities to attainments, then the smoke offering cleanses that too. These obstacles are cleansed by the smoke offering. Or, for example, when you're accused of something wrong, even though you haven't done anything wrong, then the smoke offering is also very beneficial. And so sometimes also good and bad get jumbled up. So then it's unclear what is good and what is bad. And so through the smoke offering, it becomes clear what is good is known and what is bad is known. So things become clarified through the smoke offering as well. And so when you make a smoke offering, and so for example, sometimes when you do a different practice, a ritual, and you don't exactly make the offerings according to the text, for example, or some mistakes are being made in the rituals that you have performed, then again, a smoke offering cleanses away these mistakes in rituals. Or sometimes when you have a negative dreams, a smoke offering can clear that away. or when there is fighting between people and there are hard feelings and there's jealousy, then a smoke offering may be healing for that. Or when the kind of apparitions and thoughts arise. So with apparitions, often we think of like ghosts and spirits and evil demons and so on, the local spirits and so on. But the real demons to arise, so to speak, is our own thoughts, really. And so if we think that I'm so unhappy, and that feeling is really created by your own thought. So even sometimes, even if we have everything that we really need, if we have a place to live, we have some money, and still we feel unhappy. And that is because our thoughts create unhappiness in our mind. And so every feeling is created by our thoughts. If you feel like I'm doing good, then that's also your own thought. If you think I'm doing so bad, that's also a creation of your own thought. And so often we think so much and then we suffer. For example, we think that something bad is going to happen. We worry about the future and so on. We think somebody doesn't like us. And all of that is a creation of our own thoughts. And that's important to recognize, that it's important not to allow the mind to become controlled by these kind of thoughts. And so, and what do we need to do for that not to happen, so that we don't become controlled by negative thinking? We always need to have some kind of contentment and joy in our mind. And that joy must not rely on any external factor. Because if your joy depends on external factors, then you won't ever really be happy. And you will always worry about the future, or this person doesn't like me, and so on. And then you have no way of experiencing happiness. So you must never lose that joy that does not depend on anything on the outside. And so what is a way of not ever losing that joy, no matter what? It is to feel that I'm fine. No matter what happens, I will be okay. So you need some kind of individual strength inside you. And so that's kind of strength is the strength of thinking, I'm okay, I'm going to be fine. No matter what happens, I'm going to be fine. I accept what happens. But sometimes we also misunderstand the meaning of acceptance a little bit. And we think that, for example, I should just accept that I'm a loser, I'm a failure. So that's not the kind of acceptance we are speaking about. We are speaking about being a hero, like we mentioned yesterday, how to be a real hero. And how to be a real hero is to accept any circumstance and to think that I am going to be okay no matter what the circumstance is. And we run into all kinds of different situations all the time. Sometimes they are positive, sometimes they are negative. No matter what happens, deep inside, we should always feel I'm going to be okay, no matter what happens. Even if something bad happens, that you think this is a real problem on the outer level, you still must never lose your inner joy. You still must think, I'm going to be okay. It's all good. It is all going to be fine. And for example, if you're a little bit sick today, if you're sick, then you're not feeling, you're feeling physically unwell, but still you need to have your inner joy and not feel defeated through the sickness. For example, you don't feel like a loser because of that. Or for example, if somebody steals your money, or you lost your money, then you also don't feel like a loser actually, but you still have joy. And you should think that's fine. That must be my karma. Or you think of compassion, and you think that made a person who got my money benefit from that. So it's all good. So this is the kind of joy that you must never lose. This kind of delight that you must never lose. And that mainly, as you can see, is a thought in the mind. And then when that when that is disturbed by many negative thoughts, then the mind is disturbed. And so for that, then the smoke offering is very beneficial.
오다 대가나기다 단다들이 샘게 되네. 다 강가 쪼와지 정도더니 쪼와데다 갈래 두수 릉봉고 그래. 두수 릉봉고 그래. 얘네야다 딘데지게 다 다난가 종가서 워케 라도다지 마인 바지라 거에 워케로 라셔봐 말에 다테 섬어당 그러와. 다 대가스트로지를 just okay 아이고 no problems 되는도 지금 마인 바지라 말에 다 원에 지네 임발라 임바 차도데 저런 원에 섬어당네 지난 디그리 벤나 간디나 가와 토와도지 유나 가와 토와 티게 당보 달래로 말이 되네 딘디 샘기 줄지 야 자용나 타마텔라 치유 가야 노토고 말해 치유를 가르메고 저런메지 그 누볼라고 요나래 가야노고 말해 드가나이 저런베네 피지컬 다 직진은 나기래 직진은 현도 그래 이나 티가라야 동에 가야 용 말해 다동 떠봐 이거다 이나 티 떠가 레버 치발라 다티 에고 두중국으로 와 아주 다 냠냠지그로 와 타마토가 디그리 잠바텔라고 임발라 임바치그리 마도비타 마임바로 줄 아이오케 다 디그리 마노텐데 차요 말이스 고 임발라 임바 정도 빼나가서 송버리 저런 예담 클라텔라 예담 플라이 나자르서 예담 플라이 나자르텔라 뇽몽 나자한다고 말이스 예담 플라테 나라인 라인 좀바들 콜라 임발라 임바 잠버와 어때 나기게 다 단다랑고 지 배 ngatu sem gi jula tene chi dewa tang toba khare chona ngan dek dewa tela ko imba la imbe ga la sha yo res ta sam dang go ba ta nga so ta tene ji ya ta yo da yo mari thina ta okay no la ke wa tene ma res.
And so this kind of joy is something that slowly arises. So it takes some time of and practice. And also, now when we say I'm okay, then we are not pretending I'm okay. We're not saying that actually I'm not okay, but I'm just gonna pretend I'm okay and say, okay, I'm fine. So that's not really what it means. It actually means that I am really okay. So we are really confident in being okay. We are not making something that's not okay, but we are seeing that everything actually is okay. I am going to be okay. And that kind of joy, of course, in the beginning is not so easy. We need to practice and we need to habituate to that in our mind. But if that's really integrated into your mind, then at some point later, no outer object can negatively affect you in any way. For example, if somebody says something bad about you, it does not harm you at all. It doesn't bother you at all. Or even if you're very sick, or even if you're going to die, you still don't actually suffer. You still have that joy. And of course, in order for that joy, that kind of joy to arise, it takes some time and it requires practice. But so what's important to know is that this feeling of I am okay is really something we acknowledge, something that is true. We are not pretending to be okay when we are not really okay. It's not like that. It's similar to this divine pride that we develop when we practice a Yidam deity. And this divine pride is not an afflicted pride. It's a confidence of I am really the deity. We acknowledge what really is. And we're not pretending that to be something that we are not. And so similarly, this joyful mind arises. When that arises, then no matter what happens, you really feel that you are okay. And you're not pretending, but you're actually acknowledging what really is. You really are okay. So you're not saying you're okay when you're not really okay. It's not like that.
Okay. No, okay. So now we, I think, so we, the smoke offering thing is, I think, so okay, so I have like one paper, right, maybe, and this one, yeah, so maybe you can, I don't know, Ina maybe don't have, I'm not sure, but maybe we can read, so we will have, okay, maybe there are more. Yeah. Tā tīni ngē, tā ngā rāng kācāng nyamā tī yā kāntā kī lā chik dō tīni shokī jī lā tīni tīs tā chik samdhōn rō chik khōr tīni maybe it's not this. Yeah, tīni 지게 직 티어와 오다 테마 직 지나 티 다가 고디 레다 직 지다 디스 노르드 판로 카세그로다 직 가히 베체 나올베 냠레야라 베 한상야게 자침보로와 베나다 직 가데뇨라 소바다 테네 레다 베 몽보로와 이나티인드 지 코데오 타 라렌타리아트 디스 지 칼리카보 요로 텐디 인디 지 디스 베다 도두인도 지 텐디도 지 섬노도 지 코르송 텐디 지 티요레스 텐디테 다 탐보마지 냠지 로샤니 야사레스
This sangre. Sangre.
상마로
Kare.
오다 상테다 조타레다 이네 테니에 단다 가라 게다 냠내 지야로 지 티요로와 다 이나게 통고요 통마로와 칸데 지야 이나
Maybe take a picture and screen share.
Okay, yeah.
Ni 쇼케치 콤바기아 투데데 네 삼성에
오다 테마레 nga 야게라 단다 칸타기 nga 소다 리트리트랜드 지 요로와 텔라 테니
Yeah, Kentucky.
오 텔라 테니 다 테가스타 nga랑 케직 삼수 세그마레다 테니 마예지 티요레스 이게 다 지탕 가서 냠낸 지야 아직 다 냉가로 오지 nga랑 케 텐딘도 오지 소르송로와
So there is this page here, the musings of a practitioner. And so when I was in Kentucky, recently it came to me to write this down, and that is because normally when we go through a text like a sadhana that is very extensive, maybe a bit complicated and hard to understand. So I kind of felt the urge of writing something down that is easy to understand and to put into practice. And so therefore I wrote this really short page here, which is really the essence, the key points of practice. So we should read that together.
Okay.
through the power of the blessings of great Vajradhara on down to the kind root Guru, and through the merit of the intrinsic virtue, along with all the virtue I have accumulated in the 3 times, please bless me to understand the purpose of practicing Dharma. Please bless me not to corrupt that root. May I understand the cause of well-being to be virtue. May I understand the cause of pain. May I understand the cause of pain to be non-virtue. May I understand the nature of cause and result to be infallible. In practice, may I know diligence. In benefiting others, may I know sacrifice. In relying on the Lama, may I know trust. In desire of experience and realization, may I know faith. In practicing secret mantra, may I know pure view. In desire of bliss and emptiness, may I know their indivisibility. In desire of Buddhahood, may I know non-clinging. In the clarity of my own mind, may all become naturally clear. With nothing to renounce, may all be naturally renounced. With nothing to attain, may all naturally be attained.
다 데려와 나도 축바 돌진 창에 송대 진짜자의 라메케 티 송도와 다저 갈서당 가서 대송을 되네 땅 가서 찾아 친구 그 똑지에와 치발라 되네 유비 청함지 고그로와 주비 친합데 다 주비 친합데 똑사데 다 중국 강원도 보나 예수 다 도제 창네 맞아 친합 주바 어테네 제 총네 다 타나가 자벨라미 화데 머너무케 에지 주마치와 와다 트네게 친합 주데마데 개첨보레 송네
First, it says, so through the power of the blessings of great Vajradhara on down to the kind root Guru. So in order to give rise to the realization of Mahamudra, we need the blessings of the lineage. And so the source of this lineage, which is like the source of the river Ganges, is the Buddha Vajradhara. And from the Buddha Vajradhara up until our root Guru, the lineage is uninterrupted. So first, it's important that we receive the lineage blessings.
티니다 다게 두솜사다 요게 또 터서존다 다게 두솜사들이 자 제당 가서 다게 느파데 칸니지 용고레 슬라비나 가서다 산지 콤본토 버치와라 랑당 현창마라 칸니지 월스나 가서 데비게 게와 다테게 게와 몽베 게와 소드 추베 게와 당 제가 이 요베 게와 손데 가서 히데와리 닝보 산지 랑체스 타당 다 디가나 개체효대 가르스나 신랍 것도 손다 신랍대 가르스나 다 노르진 장에다 마주음비 기테네 자벨라메 파크 신랍 테네 다 단디 다케 소남 두솜베 사샤비 기테네 게와당 다 디기 두솜사베 소남라 때네 스타티 좀야다 다 테네 가서 산제 콤파토 거나 드니진 좀고래 송래다 드니진 좀비나 다 가서 상지야게다 가서고다 고갑을 마서나 차상다 찬스 차대와다 오지 다 동거래
And then and through the merit of the intrinsic virtue along with all the virtue I have accumulated in the 3 times. And so this power of the lineage blessings that really arises from a merit. And so in order to attain enlightenment, we need virtue. And so we bring to mind the virtue of the present, of the past, and of the future. And the intrinsic virtue is our own Buddha nature. And most importantly, the blessings, we need to receive the blessings of the lineage, starting from Vajradhara through all the lineage masters to the root guru, all the blessings. So through these blessings and the virtue of the 3 times, through this merit, and all of these come together, then we can attain the state of enlightenment. And if these sort of blessings and the merit, all of these do not come together, and then we also do not have a chance of attaining enlightenment.
다티 누파도 그 땅가 선들이들이 용쇼 스타지 몰람 잡이어와 몰람 타카르지어 나 몰람 탐보디 추지 공동도 버 친지로 저 땅가서 추지도 추지야데 콜반데니 타야기 치도 상제 공모토기 치도 딘디지 임바 하고 그래스 더마토 베게 추지야데라 가서 메인 뭐 용양다고 톱 코사 용양다고 드네 tamnienda yungando tindi mare so da tinje tsek o da tinje tsek ti chando go sarwa chuji gondong do bar chenjelo ti tsawa maru chenjelo sta tsek ni nyam do go chu chea go gondong khande sto go re slavina tene ta yangchon do cha so ina ti chu chea gondong de tene korwani tar sanje komba do ya teres tene ti tsawa maru wa chea de karisena tene ji rang ke chu chi ne tela meng do 텔라직 가서보다 배 번져야 보용한다고 다 지금 배 가서 그 용문바야 체른로야 알아와 나제 체른로야 되네로이나 자와 루송래 텐디다 대양 고 자바 마루바 되네 고 지금원이 추치야달라 상제 고모토야 코르발리 타랴 오다 심장 그 동체 어때 지그래 스테 집이나 대 주지 기자와 루그 말이스
So then next is the prayer. So by the power of this, then may this and this happen. So the first thing is actually the first 2 lines here. Please bless me to understand the purpose of practicing Dharma. Please bless me not to corrupt that root. So those 2 really go together. And so bless me to understand the purpose of practicing the Dharma. The purpose of practicing the Dharma is to become liberated from samsara, is to attain liberation, to attain enlightenment. And bless me not to corrupt that root is that what is not the purpose of the Dharma then is, for example, to practice the Dharma for one's own benefit, for example, in order to gain some status or a good name, become famous, have a good name, or become rich, basically to increase the afflictive emotions, to increase one's pride. If that happens, then the root of that Dharma becomes corrupted. And then we do not attain enlightenment. So when this root does not become corrupted, then through Dharma practice, then the purpose of Dharma practice is fulfilled. And it is to attain liberation from samsara and to benefit sentient beings.
어다 대가 나기 땅가서 대완도 그러와 어다 대완도 그래 이나 대완도나 드네 단 직텐디게 직 대와 드롭두다 히라 드롭 힝기요 말에 이나다 대 참마 두수면도 이나다 대완도 그요나 오네다 대완도 그요래 이나 노가 가르치고다 대와 도야게 중원에데 개와래다 개베기 주테 개와 드롭이나 티기 주테 개와 용 오토매틱리 어다데 해고레스 제가 나기 땅가서 능엔도 말와 능엔 만도와 나기게 다 능에기 좀 메게 줄라서 바테 차대요래 어때 해고레스
So next, we want to be well. So the cause of well-being is virtue. I want to be well, but if I don't know what to do in order to be well, then I won't experience well-being. And so if I want to be well, then I need to understand what is the actual cause of it. The actual cause of well-being is virtue. So may I understand the cause of well-being to be virtue? And then the cause of pain is non-virtue. For example, the 10 non-virtuous actions. So may I understand that the cause of pain is non-virtue?
어떻게 나기 양가서 대대 준대도 상제라고 지 소샤반다고 코란케베 드니지 조 저랑베 누부게 미게 지나 저랑다 미힘바제 파니시면 지야라고 드니라고 지 레베스나 드니 마레스 텐디코 랑지 네초로 텐디코 준대데 랑지기 용되고다디 기타 상제게마 상제 초소나 상제 초소나레 마소나레 칸다 칸야 고 윤들로 바메바 윤데 그 랑지 임바데 힘고레스 지 메제기 소샤반다고 텐데 마레스
And virtue and non-virtue is not something that the Buddha had invented. So if you wonder that, so this law of karma does it mean that if I do something bad, someone else is going to come along and punish me? So this is not what it is. It's a natural law. The nature of cause and effect is infallible. It happens naturally, whether the Buddha would have said it or not. Karma is unfailing. And so therefore, may I understand that the nature of cause and result to be infallible.
Tati Jesus samata de hishira jago samares tenede 인다 조 가르스나 디 휴데 다조 가르스나 가조 랑셈 타나 탐지 당 세야 되다 랑게 셈데 짱마지 소소나 되는 가서 치기 유들 짱마 소고야 요 말에 자기 콘트유가 나 이와 가서 직 셈게 직 넘버 또 화디 마다나 다 딜라 고다 체데고다 이나 셈데 베 당생이 지 차소나 그냥 가서 다 당차버려 상제 차버려 뒤로 저걸 유트베 장마소는 양 소고야 요 말레스
So the rest is quite clear, doesn't require much explanation. But mainly the point of this sheet is that when your own mind has become pure and everything is pure, so when your own mind has become cleansed, then there is no need to cleanse any other outer objects. As you mentioned before, for as long as the mind is not cleansed of the concepts, then the mind is in a disturbed, polluted state. But when the mind becomes purified, completely pure, then everything is made pure. There is no need to purify any outer object.
티니다 제당에서 데레 대가 나기다 가래 빵트메나 탐지 방송도 빵트메 이제 다 제당에서 남준도 지는 내게와리 세야로 페나차샤위나 다 뇽몽바 페나 해당다 버지 빵고레 송레다 해당데 해당 거랑게 해당들 때네 가서 루이징 총독요래 다 해당 거랑지 뭐지 하코나 해당 거랑지 또 해당 거랑 그 뭐랑지디 지 동바 어 해당디 파지 제위나 해당라다네 지 소당 카도라 소비게 해당 그 뭐지는 해당 라마소나 단정 차버다 다 빵데 요만다 빵금도 와 빵트미나 탐지 빵들이 다 장마장차 찾아다 얘네 당가서 요버직 셈네 해당이나 야보인바 양직 디스타 참바다님게라서나 또 야보인바 해당이나 도보인바 든리직 듀얼리스틱 컨셉트이나 된다 아좀 걸바 챙되기로 와 또 차단이기 챙도기로 와 어디인데 다 배는 해당다베지 얘기 되는데 야서는 야보당미나 텔레페 요 말이다 고지 빵동야 해당 도보임이 해당 거랑 말하나 빵동야 요 말와 어디인데 되네 요 말에 송래 Tiga naji kita top the mina tamchi top the yang jinga to sanje compound roji dodo ji tobya yore roji someday growa. Temare ko same time top tower da. O tindu tindi same time ji ta tobya ja mendo ta ko koran be da be namka da tindi ji ri sha sana ta top tower.
It is said that when there's nothing to abandon, everything is abandoned. So normally we say that this is virtues and this is non-virtues. And we do speak about abandoning the afflictive emotions such as anger. Because when anger arises, it causes conflict with outer objects. But then if you understand the nature of the anger, if you see its essence, it actually is empty. So you can't actually find the anger. It has no color and no shape. There's nothing really there. And if that is seen, then that is all you need. There's no other anger that needs to be abandoned. The mind has already become completely pure. And so when there's these dualistic thoughts in the mind of like anger is bad and love and compassion is good, it is dualistic thinking that binds us to samsara, but it's of course mainly attachment and anger. But if you really think about anger carefully, then you see that anger does not actually exist. So therefore there's nothing to abandon. And so, but if there's no anger, then there's also no anger to abandon. And if you recognize that, then everything that needs to be abandoned is already abandoned. And then it says that when there is nothing to attain, everything is attained. So we have these hopes of attaining this solid state of enlightenment. But once the mind has become completely purified, completely pure, you already have attained everything. When you see that there is nothing to be attained, it is just like space, everything is attained.
Okay. 다 데레 다 가서 가서 양고 대 손다 양고 세야 돼 지당 가서 다 대송을 가서 참아 대원도구로와 다 대원도구래 되네 대원도버 치와라 되네 대신 도야겠다 주직 네컵 그러와 레트 레벨라 그냥 가서 소놈 고그래 노르 고그래 근데 인도 지다 가서가 배 노르 고기도 야 주야고 용 고기도 삼백에 로큰 되기가 말와 디게 고 소놈지 고기래 디인도 다 소놈들라 가서다 단다디 고 양고 지야라 소바 디기나는 또 제가 짐바당야라 소바 어다 근데 되네 되네 용고요래 스탠드네 가서 양고로 치비나 당원에 공가서 소놈소 토고요래 되네 가서다 지금 롱주 부정서 같은데 제당 가서 롱주 지도다 이게 베게 롱주 사야 동양라고 리디네 양다 단디 롱주 들라 가르코고요스나 롱주 만복고거래 배 추도야 로 추도야 코카요와데 롱주 임바데 대가 나이 지 루셈 데오 용야데 롱주 임바데 대가 나이 다지 피지컬 기본 용야데 롱주 임바데 와다 딘도 이제 양고당 디나는 또 체효데 맞아 짐바고다 소놈로와 맞아 때 빼요래 되네 그래서 또 주사야라 언조사야라 되네 존두고래 예송래 존두 제탕가 좀 뭐지 니에디비나 레가말레나 대샤다기면도와 로종마지나 디리라기면도와 와다 딘두 계속 고래 대차chen 째그래 야 차chen 임바들라 다 근데 요비 있나야 다둥가시 용토고요 말에 손은 쏴토고요 말 놀쏴토고요 말에 근데 인도 근데 야다 손은 싸고 다 디가라 손은 가르자고 그래 임바땅고다 조티나네 롱주 타네 진린 중현도 정도 맞아 랑게 지 롱주 푸숨 소바지 고요나 임바지 땅고고다 단다 롱주 푸송 소바지 계속 요비나 정말 짐바땅 백인 제벌이라고 오다 마음발라 양 롱주 부송 소와 지 용고요나 다 단다 짐바당 거래 어디인데 다 들어가라서 짐바당 알아서 뭐 양고 치알아서 치고 그러와 오다 디인데 고도 상마 고다지 컨비네이션도 오지 차티 그래서
And then regarding the summoning of good fortune at Shambhala, so we all want to experience happiness, well-being, and on the relative level, in order to achieve well-being and wealth, we require merit. We need merit. So we think that I want to be rich, I want to have resources and wealth, but that alone won't bring that to us. We need to have merit. And so mainly, that means that we must practice generosity. And we also practice the summoning of good fortune as a means to accumulate merit. And so as a result, we perfect resources. And so when we speak about resources, now we understand that to mean worldly things like food and drink and wealth and so on, but also actually having the opportunity to practice the Dharma is a resource, or experiencing physical and mental well-being is a resource. And then also to possess wealth and other possessions, all of that is a resource. And so in order to gain perfect resources, we mainly need merit, and the merit comes from practicing generosity and also not to practice the summoning of good fortune, for example. So when in order to gain wealth and possessions, we need merit. It makes really sense. For example, if someone just lies around and sleeps and doesn't work, then obviously they won't have any money. Or if somebody doesn't study, they won't have a certificate. So we need that criteria of our own efforts. And sometimes, no matter what we do, we still unable to accumulate any wealth. And so in that case, what we need to really accumulate is merit. And merit comes from generosity. In the Zambala text, it does say that if one wishes to achieve perfect resources, one needs to practice generosity. And if you experience resources now, it is the result of having practiced generosity. And if you wish to find perfect resources in the future, you need to practice generosity now, or also practice the summoning of good fortune and so on. So it's sort of a combination of many things.
Okay. I think we can stop here and also maybe dedication. So today maybe dedication is, or you have some questions there? No? So maybe page 10, not this Tibet, so page, what is the page 11? No, just English. Or now it's actually page 12, sorry.
For this realm encircled by snow-covered mountains, you are the source of every benefit and bliss without exception. Tenzin Gyatso, you who are one with Avalokiteshvara, may you remain steadfast until samsara's end. Embodiment of the three precious jewels, Padmapani, who holds the teachings of the victorious one, seeing the all-goodness meaning with the wisdom eye, may you who are spontaneously established activities live long for hundreds of kalpas. noble Manjushri, the Lord of Speech, who manifests to hold the teachings of the Triple Gem, who raises the lamp of the sage's teachings, may you, who are the light of the Dharma, live long for hundreds of kalpas. The one known in the Holy Land as Arya Deva, emanated into the Gar clan of eastern Tibet as Chudingpa, the heart son of Jigten Sumgum, may the life of glorious Garchen remain steadfast for 100 aeons. You who are richly endowed with the glorious wealth of Dharma knowledge, who through reflecting and meditating have actualized the self-aware absolute reality and shine with the 100,000 light rays of ethical discipline of the Buddha Dharma, may you, Khenchen Ratna Dwaza, live long. Dorje Chang, Tilopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Dharma Lord Gampopa, Pagmo Drukpa, and Lord Drikungpa, please bestow upon us the most auspicious blessings of all the Kagyu Lamas. By this virtue may I achieve omniscience. By defeating all enemies, confusion, may all who travel on the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. I pray that the Lama may have good health. I pray that the Lama may have long life. I pray that your Dharma activities spread far and wide. I pray that I may not be separated from you. As Manjushri, the warrior, realized the ultimate state, and as did Samantabhadra, I will follow in their path and fully dedicate all merit for all sentient beings. By the blessing of the Buddha who attained the three kayas, by the blessing of the truth of the unchanging Dharma as such, by the blessing of the indivisible Sangha order, may the merit I share bear fruit. By the virtues collected in the three times, by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Chicago Ratna Shri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, Master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara. Thank you so very much, Drupon. We really enjoyed your teachings. They're so integral for our understanding. We would just really like to thank you on behalf of Drupon Rinchen Dorje Rinpoche and all of us here at Chicago Ratna Shri. Thank you for coming here and spending part of Saga Dawa with us and bestowing these teachings. It's really precious, and we really thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, I really happy to be here today, Saga Dawa. So we are together, sort of like study or contemplation. So actually, we are a good merit. So a good time. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.